Well, guys, guess who's triggered this week? It's Fredo. That's right. Everyone's favorite moron brother, Chris Cuomo.
The big banks get the big help. The little guy doesn't. And that's what this story feels like. So if you want to understand the power of the moment, you have to look at the political forces aligned on this one. AOC, Ted Cruz, Elizabeth Warren, and Donald Trump Jr. I don't even know why we include him, but they're all on the same side. Honestly, I don't know why I included him. The guy's not a politician. He just says inflammatory things to help his father and his own brand. Anyway.
He was triggered last week because AOC, myself, Ted Cruz, and Liz Warren seem to be all on the same page as it related to the nonsense of the stuff with GameStop, as it related with Robinhood stopping trading, because we've been standing up for the little guy for a long time. It's sort of similar to Donald Trump's rise in politics. The establishment wants you to play. They're okay with you playing in the game so long as you're expected to lose. They're fine taking your ante, but the second you start winning, that's when they go back up against you. So Fredo took to CNN to wonder why I was even in that group. Yet, I don't know, I was trending on Twitter that day talking about it, so I guess it's pretty relevant. But it's sort of amazing watching Fredo, who's out there basically saying, well, I don't even know why he's out there. He's only saying inflammatory things to make himself seem relevant. I guess Fredo's producers thought it was relevant enough to include in the segment. But what he doesn't talk about are some of the great Fredoisms that we've heard out of Chris Cuomo over the last year. You know, he talks about things so seriously, and it's so disgraceful, and everything's outrageous, except for when he does it. COVID's outrageous, except he can bring his brother on and break out a baseball-sized bat Q-tip to be able to talk about how large his nose is in taking a test, because he's a serious journalist, not just a clown. You know, there's the biker who confronted him with the hypocrisy when he was breaking quarantine, something that he'd be outraged if anyone else did. Certainly he'd be outraged if I did it, but when he breaks quarantine himself, he can go crazy and start insulting and cursing at a guy who was riding his bicycle in his neighborhood, wondering why he was breaking the protocols that he spoke so feverishly about on CNN. Then there's the quotes like, show me where protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful. You know, I'm sure he's probably had a lot to say about inciting riots, but he had nothing to say about riots that he himself may have incited by the rules he'd like to impose on others. He had nothing to say about 9 months of BLM burning down American cities and ripping up stores and looting and arson. No. That's not a problem for it. Now, he has a huge problem if you call him Fredo, apparently, because that's like the N-word for Italians.
It's like the N-word for us.
It's like, no one actually believes that. It was a Godfather reference about the stupid brother, so I can understand why he doesn't like being called that, but he's been dubbed Fredo for a reason. Now, given his brother's handling of New York, I guess you could have a pretty even heat for who deserves the moniker, but right now, I still think it belongs with Chris. And then there's the I'll throw you down an effing flight of stairs like a punk that he said to someone who confronted him with some of these things.
You're going to have a problem.
What? What are you going to do about it?
I'll ruin you. I'll throw you down these stairs like a punk.
I understand that he's probably, in full-on roid rage most of the time. We see that. We get that he's sort of, the meathead brother, over the two with that. And you could see some of that roid rage manifest itself so often, like when he talks about Nick Sandmann and how he would have taken the other side of that and been very respectful to the hoaxer that got up in his face.
Then we get to the heart of it, the face-to-face encounter. The man, Nathan Phillips, apparently wanted to diffuse the tension, and he walked up to do exactly that. And surely the kid, Nick Sandmann, he doesn't seem to be afraid, but he did make a choice, and that was to make it into a standoff. That was not a good choice. Was it legal? Sure. That's not my test. And it shouldn't be the test. Here's mine. If that were my son, who happens to go to a great Catholic school, would I like what he did? If I were there, would I have allowed the kids to be in that situation? No and no. There was a disrespected play that doesn't work for me in these circumstances.
But he doesn't seem to take that same attitude with others. He goes on, full roid rage, threatens to throw people down flights of stairs, drops the F-bomb like it's going out of style. That is Chris Cuomo. Again, you can lie about quarantine. It's do as I say, not as I do. And that's what we're seeing from the left so much. It's that hypocrisy. It's the comedic routines with his brother, making a mockery of everything that's going on in one of the states that's handled it by far the worst of virtually all of the states that's out there.
But who cares? 33, 28, died in a hospital, died in a nursing home. They died.
But being very critical of the Trump administration, who got stuff like a vaccine done in a record amount of time. This is what we're dealing with. These are the people who are supposed to be journalists. They're not journalists, guys. They're editorialists. They have their message, they have their agenda, and they're going to drive it down your throats.